Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome to the gathering place. I will be waiting for some of you ladies to join us today. I'm really excited about what we're going to be doing today. As usual, I always ask that you tell us where you're logging in from. Hello, everybody. Hello, welcome to the gathering place. Thank you so much for joining us. We have an amazing show for you, Bible study for you today. So tell us where you're logging in from. Say hello back so that we can give you some good Ignite Women's love. Let's see, where are you coming in from? Tell us where you're coming in from. Huntsville, Alabama, thank you so much for joining us. We are excited. Thank you. Tell us where you're logging in from. Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the gathering place. Thank you so much for joining us right here on the gathering place. Let us know. Hello. Say hi to us. Let us know where you're logging in from. We're going to give you all several minutes to log in. Most of us are used to logging in at 7:15. But with our panel discussions, I love for us to be able to log in a little sooner so that we can have the time that we need. So thank you so much for joining us at the gathering place. Let us know where you're logging in from. Hi, Annette from Wayne, Pennsylvania. Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much. Tell us where you're logging in from. Say hello so that we can say hello back to you. We have an amazing, awesome show for you today. I think the married ladies as well as the single women are really going to get a lot out of this. So tell us where you're logging in from. Lumberton, New Jersey. Awesome. Thank you for joining us at the gathering place. Thank you so much. Lumberton is in the house. Hey, Stacia! Yay, Stacia. It's so good to see you from Lake Norman, North Carolina. Hey, Kimberly from the DMV area. Thank you so much for joining us at the gathering place. Hi to Shy from Miami, Florida. Thank you so much for joining us at the gathering place. Thank you. Hello, Norfolk. Hey, Aunt Phyllis. Norfolk, Virginia's in the house. Thank you so much for joining us. Austin, Texas. Yay, Texas is in the house. Thank you so much for joining us at the gathering place. Thank you very much. Thank you. Come on, ladies, tell us where you're logging in from so we can give you a good hello. As you are coming in, get those hearts if you can. Start to share. If you have other women, single women, I don't care if they're single, I don't care if they're married, but if you have other women that you know need to be in this Facebook Live, now is the time to hit the invite button right now. Get these women here. They're definitely, hey, Colleen, they're definitely from Willingboro, New Jersey. They are definitely going to be blessed today. Hello, thank you for logging in from Philadelphia. Thank you. If you're here, invite some friends. Invite people to join our page, The Gathering Place. We are a community of women. We love engaging with you throughout the week. We are always posting information about what it is that we're going to be doing. Bristol, Pennsylvania, thank you so much for joining us at The Gathering Place. We're always going to be posting about what it is that we're doing. And so we want you to be a part of that. We want you to be in the know so that you can know what it is that we're doing and be a part of the larger ministry of Ignite. For those of you that may be joining us, Ignite Women's Empowerment Summit started as a 1 day, half a day breakfast, and it has now morphed into a full movement. Hi, Letitia from Richmond. Thank you so much for joining us. It has morphed into a huge movement. Hi, Lisa from Philadelphia. And we're doing leadership development. We're doing Bible study. We're doing small groups. We're doing coaching. There's just so much that we have that we're doing and that we want you to be a part of, and we want you to be connected to. So listen, I'm going to jump right in as you all are coming in the door. I'm going to jump in and talk a few minutes about some announcements that we're going to have. Hey, Missy from Lindenwold, thank you so much for joining us at the gathering place. Thank you. Everybody get those hearts going for me. Invite other people to join us. Hey, Kim from Arizona, invite other women to join us in our group. And if they somehow miss it tonight, it's okay, because they can definitely come back and be able to watch it again. So welcome again. So I've got some announcements. You all asked for it. You wanted it. It's coming back. Okay. We are going to have our men's panel. Yay. Woo. They are coming back on next Monday, y'all. Okay. So invite all your friends. This is it. They're not coming back again for a while. Well, at least that's what my husband said. He's like, we got to do this again. I'm like, yes, you have to do this again. So I want you, put that back up there real nice and big. I want you all to come back to the gathering place on next week. We're having an amazing part 2 session from the men, Dr. George James and my husband, Harold Brown. And they're going to be answering a lot of your questions. So I would ask that you all think through what you want to ask. We're going to be talking about marriage. We're going to be talking about dating. We're going to be talking about divorce. We're going to be talking about remarriage. We're going to be talking about living together. All of those things, right? Because both of them have some knowledge and background about it. Unfortunately, Keith couldn't be there with us. And so I know some of you are going to miss Brother Keith. I'm going to miss him too, but I know that these two gentlemen can definitely do the trick. So I definitely want you to come back on next week. So those that are joining us tonight, you're just entering into the room. April the 19th, the men are back. Let the Men Talk panel part 2. We're going to save a lot of room, a lot of space for you all to ask your questions, and for you all to get some additional answers. And I did have a lot of feedback. There were several women who said, oh, I wish you had to talk more about marriage. We're going to be talking more about marriage from a man's perspective. And that's something that we want to do, right? We want to be able to do that. We want to hear from them. And we're going to be talking about dating and relationships, all that. Okay, all that. So invite your girlfriends. You know, the ones that's always on your phone. They're always calling you. They always got drama issues, whatever it is, have them come, right? There's no reason that we have to go through the rest of this year not understanding it. Good evening, Evangelist. Thank you so much for joining us. So the second announcement that I have is something that is coming up in May, and we want all of you to attend. It is our very first virtual Pivot Up and Lead Symposium. Listen, ladies, this is for all Christian women professionals, whether you have a leadership title or not. This is for all Christian women leaders, Christian women ministry servants. If you are in ministry at your church, I don't care if you're just serving, leading, and you have a passion, and definitely if you are in ministry, you're called to preach or teach or lead. But even if you're not, but you have a passion to really step up your success game, you really want to scale up, and you want to be able to pivot up, which is really turning yourself to a different level of success, capacity, where you're building your skills. We want you to come on May the 15th, virtually, 9 a.m. to 2. We're going to have a millennial panel of young Christian leaders, entrepreneurs, and professionals. They are killing the game. So you want to invite your girlfriends who are millennials. If you're a millennial, we want you to be a part of that, right? And then we're going to have a professional leadership panel. It's called How to Overcome Self-Sabotage in the Workplace. All right. Now, listen, I know there are moments when, you know, you get on that job and it's like they are working your last nerve. But God opened that door for you, and he wants us to succeed. He wants you to succeed. So you might as well learn. We've got some HR directors, regional directors that's going to be there, executive leaders who are going to be on that panel. And then in the afternoon, we're going to have some breakout sessions. So we're going to have a breakout session for leaders, exclusively for leaders. We're going to have a breakout session exclusively for professionals. You just want to get to the next level. You want to break that glass ceiling. And then we're going to have a breakout session for those that are in ministry with me. Okay, so it's going to be an amazing time. I think it's going to be informative, and I want you to be a part of it. We are already opened up early registration. We want you to be there. Okay, so I'm jumping right in. Married Women's Edition. Come on now, this is Relationship Rehab. There ain't no way we're going to be talking about relationship, and we heard from the men that we not going to hear from the ladies. Okay, so we have to. Hello, Linda from Sicklerville. We have to talk to the women this week and talk about marriage. And the guests that I have coming on are powerful. These are women who are not just talking about what you should do, they have lived it. And even if you don't have a story like theirs, which you may or may not, there is something within their experience that I believe is going to bless your life. So I am going to introduce our very first guest. Her name is Andrea Bing Jameson. She is a school counselor and a former mental health. She's also a mental health counselor. She received her master's degree in Christian counseling, and she has a passion for inspiring individuals to strive to their fullest potential. One thing that you're going to hear about Andrea and that you're going to love is she's very transparent about her struggles, and her passion is that it gives you the passion or permission to open yourself up and be transparent as well. She is an author. Her first book was called Kaleidoscope, Making the Necessary Adjustments to See Yourself as God Does. It was a powerful book. The second book she's a co-author of, which is The Self-Esteem Guide for Women, How to Build Your Confidence. And she's got a third book coming out. It's called The Mask of Unforgiveness. Woo! How God is teaching me about authentic forgiveness. She's been a keynote speaker for women's conferences and workshops. And she also facilitates a small group at Victory in Christ Christian Center entitled Beauty for Ashes. And I was actually telling a very good girlfriend of mine who goes to your church and told them that she really should join your small group. She seemed really excited about it. Andrea lives in New Jersey with her husband, Calvin, and together they have 7 adult children and 16 grandchildren. So welcome, Andrea. Everybody type, hello, Andrea. Welcome to the Gathering Place. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Reverend Nikki.
Yes, thank you. My next guest is Danielle J. Mitchell. Hi, Danielle. How are you? She is a realtor with United Real Estate Philadelphia, serving the Philadelphia metropolitan area. Outside of her professional career, Danielle serves her church, Household of Faith Deliverance, who the pastor is Bishop Michael Brokenborough. And she is the head of media ministry on the ministerial staff and oversees ministry leaders. She is a wife and a mother of 3 beautiful children, and her legacy is to serve God and family and those she encounters, and exudes the glory of God in everything she does. And, you know, Danielle's coming to our panel tonight to represent the millennial and married. So I'm really excited about the perspective she's going to bring on what it's like being a millennial, being married in this time. Okay. And then our third guest, last but definitely not least, is Sharon Sadler. She is the CEO and founder of SOS Marriage Network. She is a wife, a mother, a grandmother, and woman of great faith. She is married to Oscar Sadler, and together they travel coast to coast, speaking to singles and couples on how to have success before and after your marriage vows. Sharon has been featured in nationally known magazines such as Essence. She was in the article, The 8 Most Overlooked Reasons Why Marriages Fail. She's also been featured in Kingdom Style magazine. Her and Oscar have been married for 40 years. All right, 40 years, y'all. 40 years. And it was through the tragedies and triumphs of their relationship with Christ at the center of all. She must have got married at like 15. Because I don't even know how she could have been married for 40 years. She don't even look like she's supposed to be married for 40 years. She was a child bride, y'all. Her and Oscar share 17 years of coaching and mentoring couples through the journey of marriage. And they specialize, and I know this for a fact, they specialize in couples in crisis. In 2016, they launched their own marriage network called SOS, and they believe in real life, real talk, real love. And so as a dynamic wife and husband and wife team, they have also assisted in developing and training leaders to serve in marriage ministry. I know that to be a fact as well. And today, she spends her time mentoring and coaching at the Life Center of Hope Church in Las Vegas. And she has a very successful real estate business. Welcome, ladies. Welcome, 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 welcome. You ladies can probably take unmute your mics. Thank you so much for joining us at the Gathering Place.
Hi.
Thank you. Hello.
For having me.
Yes. All right. I said this is going to be girl talk. No way around. Well, mine is he eavesdropping in the other room. But our discussion tonight is called Wifing It. The power to bounce through marital bumps and bruises. We're calling it Wifing It. So somebody type that. I forgot to type it and put it on, but that's what this panel discussion is called tonight. Wifing It. The power to bounce through marital bumps and bruises. So let's jump right in because we've got a lot to discuss. And I do want to be able to take some questions from our guests if they have any. I'm going to start with Sharon. Me and you, Sharon, known each other for a long time. I heard your story. We were on our way to a couples training way up in the mountains of Georgia. And we had probably a 4 or 5 hour ride. Me and my husband were running our couples ministry for many years, and you and your husband were running your couples ministry. And we just happened to hook up somehow or another and ended up becoming like best girlfriends. But I never knew your story. And on that 3-4 hour car ride, you told me a snippet of that story, and I told you it needs to be on a Lifetime movie. I couldn't believe it. And there's no way tonight that you can share all the parts of that story. We know we've got some other guests on who have some awesome stories to share as well. The question that I want though is from the story you shared with me, you have had some incredible ups and downs. I mean, incredible. Enough to cause most women to literally kind of walk away. But before we even talk about that, I want you to share, we talk about marital bumps and bruises, right? Share that time in your life, that one time in your life, that one bump that actually changed your life. That one bump in your marriage that literally changed your life.
Well, I think it's real cute that you call them bump because I call them potholes.
Okay.
So I don't know what bumps. And you want one that changed my life, and from that question, I'm not certain whether you're speaking from changing my life for the better or for the worse. So I'm going to give you a little bit of the in between. And just as some of the situations that I've dealt with, those potholes, we're talking about infidelity. We're talking about my husband was a drug addicted for many, many years. And those that have possibly heard my story through your network, and we're even talking about attempted suicide. So there has been a lot that has happened to me, with me, and through me. But I think the one that usually will really stand out most in my mind is after enough was enough and enough couldn't even be no more. I was just ready. I was past ready to go, and struggling and battling within myself whether to go or stay, because we were in the church. So that had its own pull on me. Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing as a godly wife? And I didn't know anything else to do. But things got so bad, that, and I was so empty, I was so depleted in that situation that I wanted to leave. I was staying and just kind of going through the motions. There was really no emotion in it, just going through the motions of being a wife and a mother.
Yeah.
I was numb. I was numbed out. And my husband at that point, because he knew I was basically done, that's when he started to make his shift and seeking God and praying and doing all this stuff. He actually went on this 40-day fast. And after his fast, he came to me, told me that it was, that God had spoken to him, that he heard from the Lord. And to my surprise, he told me that the Lord told him to release me, that I could go. And I couldn't get my stuff fast enough. I was leaving the kids. I was going to come back for them. I didn't care. I was just bouncing as fast as these feet could bounce. I really didn't have anywhere to go, but I wanted out, and I wanted out quick. And so I was on my way out. I had grabbed one suitcase, kept it ready. Shouldn't do that, but I kept it ready anyway. And I grabbed my suitcase, was running down the steps, got to the door, and as clearly as we're speaking now, I really heard the Holy Spirit's, and I heard the voice of the Lord tell me, but I haven't released you. I have not released you.
Wow.
And
okay.
it just
hold on. Don't start running down the street on that. Because people are entering the room right now, and I'm just going to reset the room. Welcome to the Gathering Place. If you just joined us, our topic is called Wifing It. How to bounce through marital bumps and potholes. Thank you, Sharon. I said bumps and bruises. How to bounce through marital bumps and bruises. And so if you're entering tonight, I want you to get your pen and pad out, right? This is no ordinary married wives kind of panel. We really are here, to break the stronghold of the enemy. And so we're talking with Sharon. And Sharon, I'm going to throw in some nuggets that I know, right, about it, just to kind of, those of you that are listening, Sharon was married to her spouse, and over the course of probably most of their marriage until this incident. How long were the two of you married when this incident had happened?
I think probably about anywhere between our 8th and 10th year.
Okay. So Sharon and
Because I hadn't had my third child yet. So yeah.
Well, Sharon and Oscar had been married for about 8 years, had 2 children, and her husband was drug addicted, had gone through some addiction. There were multiple instances of infidelity. And I'm going to have Sharon tell this story because I think it's important. Sharon tried to take her life during one of these breakup to makeup episodes. They spent years breaking up to come back with the same results. And her husband knew that Sharon was done. She was finished. She was ready to go, as every other woman would have been. And she said her husband tried to get himself clean, and he started fasting because he didn't want to lose his marriage. And God told her husband, let her go. Let her go. And she started packing her bags because they were in ministry, y'all. They were in ministry. They were in the church, right? This isn't a couple that doesn't know anything about the Lord. They're in ministry. They're in the church. And when she went to walk out of the door, she heard the Lord say, he released you, but I didn't.
Amen.
Exactly. And so Sharon, I want you to go back to, because we're going to fast forward to that point again. But go back to that moment when you tried to take your life. Because I think it's important that people recognize when they're in a situation and they start to feel these signs of depression. I really think it's important you talk a little bit. Just give us a snippet of that story, if you can.
Okay. Well, it was infidelity and the lies, the drugs, all of that. And I had tried on many, many occasions just trying to talk to him, communicate with him, love him, give him ultimatums, everything within my power. And yes, I prayed and all of that. But I had just reached such a low. I didn't recognize myself anymore. I felt like I was the walking dead, basically. Couldn't understand what was wrong with me, that I wasn't enough for him. And my children, my two at the time, were staying at my girlfriend's house because we used to watch each other's kids on alternate weekends, and it was their weekend to go with her. So I was alone. He was out. I think he was working. He had my kids, and I was so low, Nikki. The blackness, the hole in my soul.
Wow.
I just saw no way out of that at all.
Wow.
And to be so low that even the thought of your children and being here for your children was not enough to keep me. I started drinking alcohol and taking every pill in the cabinet until they found me. They found me and rushed me to the hospital. I heard the ruckus around me, and I don't know how far you want me to go with the story because you do know it. So, they found me. I got to the hospital. I heard the ruckus around me, even though I was unconscious. And I heard them say, we lost her. She's gone.
Wow.
And I felt, I don't know what I actually felt at that time, but I heard them. I heard the
so
chaos
Sharon,
outside.
So wait. So Sharon, you actually died on the operating table. I think she might have gotten frozen. No, okay. You froze for a minute. So you actually died.
I actually died, yes, on the table. I actually died on the table, and I know that. And they were able to bring me back, and then they lost me again. The second time that I was gone, what I heard was a shriek, a scream, a cry, like something I had never heard in my live lifetime, and only to come to find out later that it was my husband. But when I heard that shriek, I can only say what happened and what I felt and what I thought. And what I felt and what I thought was, oh my God, what is this Negro going to do without me? And that is literally what brought me back.
Wow.
And coming back you know, and there was just never any stain on me. I didn't have to go through psychotherapy and all this other stuff that normally something like that would you would have to deal with. Was a grace and a favor attached to it, even in that. And you would think that that would have been enough. And it was for a little while, but the story goes on.
So after that incident, there were promises of change.
Yes.
And for a minute, it was good.
And for a little while, it was better. It was
Okay.
better, and he had stopped some of the things. He had stopped the drugs for a long time. He had stopped the infidelity. He tried for a while. And I'm going to honestly say it probably lasted maybe a couple of years.
Okay.
It lasted a couple of years, enough for us to have another child.
Got it. So fast forward to when you realize it is not going to work. It's just not going to work. If killing myself doesn't make him change, or almost, you pretty much killed yourself, God brought you back. If that doesn't make him change, then this is not meant to be. And you got ready to leave, put your hand on the door, and you heard God say, I did not release you. What happens? What happens next?
At that point, I was still numb, but it was more important for me at that time in my life to be obedient to God than to do what I wanted to do. So even though I had reached my end, obviously God said I had more. And what I also realized that it wasn't so much of more of me, but it was more of him to pour into me. I did turn around. I did not leave. I was totally being submissive to the Holy Spirit. But I was angry. I was extremely angry. I was angry with Oscar. I was angry with God for telling me I couldn't leave. I was angry. And I told my husband, I said, I'm only here because God said I had to stay. I said, but don't expect anything from me. Anything from me. And if this marriage is going to turn around, it's going to be turning around because you're going to do something about turning it around. I don't have anything else to give you.
Wow. And so, again, I'm going to reset the room. And what I mean by that is just bring everybody. There are still more women who are coming in. And what you're entering into the Married Wives edition. You're putting your ear and eavesdropping in on a conversation that we're having with women who have experienced, we're calling it wifing it, learning how to overcome the bumps, the potholes, the bruises of married life. And this relationship rehab, it's great because we are always, as women, we always believe that something is better on the other side. But we don't know until we get there how much work it takes to really be in the position as a married wife. And so we're hearing the story of Sharon, who was married to her spouse. This was years ago. They've been married for 40 years right now. 40 years. At the beginning of their marriage, there was infidelity, several instances. He was addicted to substances. And at one point in her life, she was so despondent, she actually tried to take her life. She actually died on the operating table twice, and God brought her back. And things changed for a little bit, but it went right back to what they were. And as any woman would do, she got ready to leave. And the Lord told her, I have not released you yet. Now, Sharon, what's powerful about that is some of us would hear that and say, okay, so God told you not to leave. So things got way better after that, right?
Yeah, right.
Tell us the process.
I wish I could tell, I wish I had the fairy tale story that we all we're looking for when we walk into this thing called marriage. But that wasn't my story. And not that there aren't some that have it. God bless you. But my story was completely different. And so when I was ready to go and was not allowed per God, um, I just had to really let go. And it
Now, what does
was
that mean? What do you mean you had to let go?
aren't those words so simple, but they
Yes.
are so profound and so deep. So it wasn't just, okay, I'm let go of Oscar and, God's going to have to fix him kind of thing. God always, 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 always starts with you.
Mm.
And that's where he started. He started with me. And I had to let go of a whole lot of anger. I had to let go of, I had to forgive. I learned what forgiveness was truly, truly about. In all those previous years, I thought I knew what forgiveness was, but when the Lord teaches you a lesson, you learn it real good.
Yeah.
So, the forgiveness, I had to let go of the ideas, expectations. Not that you shouldn't have expectations, you should. They should be clear, they should be communicated well,
Yeah.
and they should also be agreed on. Because if you have expectations on someone that clearly feels like they can't meet those expectations, you're going to be in this journey by yourself. And so it was a lot of work I had to do that the Lord had to show me. And as he was showing me myself and I was surrendering those things to God and being empowered all at the same time, because the Lord doesn't just leave you hanging. You don't turn into this weak shell like of a person. He actually makes you stronger. And
Wow.
while he was working on me, and this is what happens when you truly trust God, he was also working on him.
Wow.
Without me trying to work on him.
Yeah. What do you think is the one thing? What's the one thing that you still remember him showing you about you during this time?
I think that I think I had to stop putting so much into Oscar and put that into my relationship with God.
Wow. That is so good. That is so good. You got to say that again. You have to say that again. Very important.
It is important because, we come into this, when somebody asks you why you get married, oh, he makes me happy. Our expectation is that this person is supposed to make me happy. Well, if you're not a happy person without that person, guess what? You're not going to be a happy person with that person.
That's it.
And so, I was putting so much. Mind you, yeah, I was 13 when I started with my husband. When we
Wow.
started dating, I was 17 when we got married.
Wow.
I was a baby. I was a girl. And coming from a broken home and, my parents being divorced and this independent, wonderful mother that I had. So I was looking for that fairy tale and he was supposed to give it to me.
That's
And
good.
I had to let go of the fairy tale to learn how to be a wife.
Okay, stop right there. That's a tweetable moment. I need everybody to type. I'm gonna let go of the fairy tale. Everybody type it. I need everybody to type. I am going to let go. I'm serious. Let go of the fairy tale. And I'm going to move forward to be a wife. And I don't care if you're not married yet.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible says he who finds a wife. We did a dating boot camp last week. It was amazing. And that was what we're doing, how to get in wife status. And part of wife status is, this is the thing you're saying, Sharon, that's powerful. And I know that me and you have talked a lot as well. We come into marriage with a debt. we come into marriage
Yes,
having
ma'am.
a bill. And that bill contains all the debts and debits that people have made in our life, right?
Yes,
You know,
Lord.
the,
Yes.
when our teacher hurt us as a second grade, when we were in second grade, or they teased us on the playground, or we didn't get love from our first boyfriend, or we got cheated on, or our daddy disappointed us. We don't settle the debt before we get married because we really don't know that we're carrying this bill, right?
There you go.
We come to marriage with this long debt. And guess what we do? We hand it to them. Say,
There you go. I thought
you
you were supposed to pay this.
who gonna pay this? You gonna pay this. Somebody needs to pay this bill. And we
That's
hand
right.
them the bill. How do I know? How do I know we do this? Because when you look at what's disappointed you, you look at what disappointed you in this marriage, right? The deep disappointments. I'm not just talking, oh, I'm disappointed that he kind of doesn't pay the bills, but it's okay. No, I'm talking the deep-seated disappointment. You have to go back to, as Sharon talked about, what were my expectations and where did those expectations come from? And many of the times those expectations came from a place in our past that either we never met, or sometimes you saw your parents doing it and it's, I've got to have that, right? So you come into a relationship with a bill, a debt. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to pay this. You're going to have to be this. And we've never had a conversation with that person to really find out, do they actually have the capacity? Everybody type hashtag capacity matters. I need everybody to type that. Capacity matters. Everybody type it. You got to know if your spouse has that capacity. And what it sounds like, Sharon, is at the time, he did not have the capacity. He didn't even know what it meant and what it took. And I'm sure if we went back into his past, he had a debt that he gave to you that you couldn't pay.
Right. And when you talk about capacity, Nikki, the thing of it is that I think from the time we're two, you know, when mommy first buys us the doll and we get the doll house and we get the tea sets and we get all these things, we are literally trained and groomed as women.
Yes.
To go ahead and, you know, be this wife. All right. You got to take care of the home. You got to take care of the kids. You got to take care of your husband. You got to take care of everybody.
Right.
Guess who was never really trained? Guess who doesn't get no training?
That's
they
right.
Out there playing ball, you know, doing whatever they want to do. And then we just want them to show up at the altar. As long as they show up, they good.
And listen, this is how it actually happened. We actually just told some of them, I'm going to pick out your
Yeah, we tell them we don't need you for nothing. You don't just show up. We don't want you in none of the planning. We don't, you know, but we are groomed. We are trained people, you know, whether you're brought up in church or you're not, it's put into us. And they get no training and then they're not taught to invest. You know what they're taught to invest in? Sports, the cars, and then you wonder why they love the car more than they seem like they love you sometimes. You know, it's just,
right.
It's just a fact. So no, he didn't have the capacity.
Yeah, and I think what we're saying is we're getting ready to go into this subject too. We have to do a debrief, and we have to do I call it an ultrasound, right? We've got to look within us to see what dreams am I carrying that I am expecting to be birthed in this marriage, and is it real? Is it, you know? Because here's the thing. The problem with the fairy tale is I don't recognize it's a fairy tale. It's a realistic reality to me. It's something that I want, I desire. So that's where the struggle comes, right? But Sharon, so let me ask you this question, because we can't move on without asking this. Not everybody. I have to say this, not because we're counselors. Me and you are counselors. Me and Andrew are counselors. Not everybody can stay in a marriage like the one you experienced at all, right? Like, as counselors, we're like, okay, how do we need to help you shift and transition out of it, right? So, for those that are listening, and they're in maybe an abusive relationship, or a relationship where he's just cheating over and over and over and over again, and they're like, oh, but I want to honor my marriage vow, or oh, the Lord hasn't told me to leave yet, oh, I don't know, how do you know when to stick and stay, and how do you know when to leave?
That is such a great, great, great question. And if I had the one all fix all answer to it, we all be rich on this panel. So, but what I will say is that there is no one answer. There's no 7 steps to stick in and 5 steps to leave an answer to this question. This is such a personal,
It is
individual DNA choice. I want people to know that's just it. You do have options here. And even though, it is our practice to try to navigate and help and guide people in the sticking part, people have options. So first thing is you best have some kind of connection and relationship with your higher power, your God. Okay. That's first. You have to have a foundation. You have to have some kind of solid foundation. But more so, you have to get all the other voices out of your head.
That's good.
Because you're going to have everybody and their great grandmas trying to tell you what you need to do in your situation. Nobody have to live with it except you.
That's right.
So you have to weigh your own costs. You know what your limitations are. And even when you feel as though you've reached them, if you're in Christ, baby, that's who you're supposed to be counseling with. I'm not saying not to seek godly counsel, but if you are not seeking God as your counsel, then none of the rest of this stuff matters.
That's good.
So you have to get to yourself enough. And whichever decision you make, know that one, it's not an easy decision that you're going to make. Either way.
Right.
Second thing is that it takes so much courage to make that decision, whichever one it is.
Yes.
And that you will find and have support that you need in making that decision.
Yes.
Get people out of your head.
Yeah.
The voices of mommy, grandma, pastor, whoever. And I'm not trying, listen, you got to come home. That door closes at night and it's just you, that man, and Jesus. So that's the only 3 people that should be making a decision.
Yep. And I'm gonna tell you something. If you are listening, this is why I wanna. We had to talk on this. If you're listening and you're in a relationship right now and it is wrecking havoc on your soul, and I'm not talking it's wrecking havoc because he don't do the dishes and mad because he ain't making. No, I'm not talking that. Okay, we're gonna talk about that in a second. But I'm talking it's wrecking havoc. There is dysfunction. There's verbal abuse, there's physical abuse, there's emotional abuse, which can come in the form of adultery or addiction, or you're married to someone who's a binger, they're a liar, or and it's they're narcissistic. It's just wrecking havoc on your soul. What I hear Sharon saying is the first step is to go to God. And if you say, well, I don't really know how to do that, or I've done that, he's been quiet. That does happen. Let's keep it real. God can get quiet. This is where we start to seek professional Professional counseling, not the girlfriend that's like, who we about to say.
Please no.
Don't go to the mom and them. And don't go to the one that's been trying to tell you to leave them. You need to go to somebody who does not know you, who does not know your situation, and say, I need to tell you what's going on, right? And even with that, you got to come back and you got to be able to say, what do I believe is God's will for me? And let's just say you have to walk out that door. Let's say, because I'm a firm believer that if it's not God's will to walk out that door, and he knows that you have asked him, he knows that in sincerity, you have sought him and you've prayed and you went to counseling and right now your option is to walk out. Because let me tell you what's going to happen.
Right.
Let me tell you, God is not intimidated, right? If we take a move and we've sought him, because all that will happen is when you leave, you walk away, you say this marriage is over, or he leaves and you throw him out, whatever it is, God's going to give you clarity through this season of isolation. That this was either the move that you should have made, or he's bringing reconciliation, because reconciliation comes with fruit. I need everybody to type that.
There you go.
Reconciliation comes with fruit. And so you don't ever have to worry that, I missed it. No, not if you've prayed. Not if you said, Lord, I think I'm going to leave. And if it's not your will, stop me, show me, give me a sign. And you don't get any of those, start walking, start packing your bags, right? And say, Lord, I'm still open to hearing you do something. I'm not going to close the door, but it's unhealthy for me and my children to stay in this place right now. But I'm still open, God, for you to change him. But change shows up as fruit. Not as and that fruit could come in the form of words you've never heard, and most importantly, behavior. So we don't serve a mystical God. We don't serve where he's like, it's a mystery. I want you to go back and he's still going to beat you, but just trust. No. It's going to come. And while you're in isolation, or you put yourself in separation, I call that separation, where you're putting distance between you and him, the Lord's going to deal with you. He's going to talk to you about you. And through that process, you will know. I tell women this all the time, and they've come to me and say, I don't know if I should. I say, you're going to know. There's going to come a point where there's going to be an undeniable that this is over. You may not like how it feels about it being over, but you are going to know that inner knower. Everybody has an inner knower. You're going to know. And then you're going to know there's just something that I feel like, he still is, God is doing something in this relationship. I'm seeing a change. I'm seeing a turn, and you will begin to see it. And so Sharon, just to share, when did things begin to change for you? Because obviously they have. Those of you that are in the room, Sharon and Oscar have an amazing marriage ministry. Like, they travel all over the country. They have their own marriage training, counseling, crisis. And Oscar is just, when you meet Big O, we call him Big O, you can't imagine that he was this person that they say. So when did
That's the fruit. That's the fruit.
It's the truth. It's the truth. We got to give Big O some props.
I mean, listen, just so everybody understands the end of this tragic story, this man is the best thing since milkshakes and pizza, okay? Because he loves me, he adores me, he treats me exactly like God's daughter, and a favorite one at that. So I'm in awe of him. When God restores and fixes a thing, and nobody do it better, because I still get butterflies when he walks through that door and calls me on that phone.
So when did things change? How long?
It changed when I was into the process itself. It's always evolving, but I guess they changed about within our, and again, this is a disclaimer. I ain't saying this for everybody, but for us, it didn't start. It's the real shift probably came in about our 15th year of marriage. And then it just started to grow and evolve because he started really making certain commitments to change. And I understood the importance of working on me and stop focusing on him and his faults and his behaviors. I just started working on me and my relationship with God because he was speaking to me directly.
Wow, that's good. So everybody type focus on you. This is huge. Focus on you. We're going to come back, Sharon. Thank you so much. I got to jump to Andrea.
Thank you. Amen.
Andrea, so Andrea, you have gone the opposite route. You were married. You experienced infidelity on multiple occasions, but you went through a divorce and you chose that. What went into you choosing to divorce and walk away? And then we want to get into how did you start dating again and all that. But start with what was it that went in for you about the divorce, going into the divorce?
Well, first, I want to thank you, Reverend Nikki, for this opportunity to be on this panel with these amazing women and to be able to share my testimony of, what God did in my life. So during that time of deciding to get a divorce, that was in 2003. And that was like, I call it the year that my life imploded. So probably if other things had not happened, I probably would not have divorced. But my mom died of lymphoma that year. My daughter, her first year of college, she became pregnant. My son got into some illegal activity. And then on top of that, my husband at the time was having an affair.
Wow.
And so it was just so much that I was trying to juggle. And I literally almost lost my mind. I was having panic attacks. I would literally drive in areas that were so familiar, and it was as if someone put me in Alaska, and the area just was not familiar. Those are episodes that I was having during that time because my life was out of control, and I didn't know how to control it. It was out of control. Everything that my family had worked so much to build. We were at the time presidents of our marriage fellowship group, and we had been presidents for 10 years. So we had this reputation in our church of being a well put together family. And so all these things were happening, and I literally could not be near him. When he was near me, I could feel the panic. When he called me, I could feel the anxiety.
Wow.
And it was really, I had to save my life. And so that's why I had to, I did give him an ultimatum. I said, either you choose her or you choose me. And the next day he packed his bags and he chose her. Mm-hmm. And so everything about my life was in question. I questioned what kind of wife I was that I could not hold on to my husband. I questioned what kind of mother I was because now I have two of my children who are having a very difficult time. I questioned what kind of daughter I was because I was the one who approved my mom to get surgery, and I thought that maybe I shouldn't have done that, And then I'm questioning what kind of Christian I am, All this stuff is happening in my life that I must be getting punished for something. I couldn't see that there was some sort of purpose in all this. It must be punishment.
That's good.
And so I had to get away from it. I had to get away from everything that reminded me of the pain that I was going through. Mm. And so it was like a culmination of things. After we have been members of a church for 23 years. And that's where our kids were born and raised in that church. And so when I decided to we separated, I joined another church, and he joined and he brought his mistress there. And so now I'm in church.
Hold on. Now you're not going to run down the street on that one. So for those of you that are just joining, welcome again to The Gathering Place. We're talking about wifing it, how to bounce through marital bumps, bruises, potholes. We heard from Sharon, who had an amazing testimony of just marital struggle, but also victory. And we're talking to Andrea, who was married for many years. She was a marriage leader, ministry leader at her church, and found out that her husband was cheating. But also this was a season in her life where everything exploded at once. Everything at once. And her children, her husband, her mom passed, her family. It felt like God just literally was like, I don't know who Andrea is. I'm out. And right? Like that's how it felt. And Andrea is saying that she tried to get away from everything, all the pain of everything, which started with her church. So she left her church, joined another church, and her husband, who was separated from her, decided to join that same church that she joined and bring his mistress with her. And if I'm right, if I remember this story, they came and would sit behind you in church every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
It's true. On a couple of occasions.
You didn't catch no case on it. You didn't have no fight. You don't do a class on that, sis. You had to do a class on that. They would sit in the row behind you. Okay. Mm-hmm. The row behind. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And, I just, I'm not going to say that I was nice about it. I'm not going to say that I, had my Bible toted underneath my armpit and, would praise the Lord, like, we're going to get through this, Lord. No, I was, I had my girlfriends and I was like, there she is. And I was right after church, after a great sermon, shouting and praising the Lord, walk out, and she's sitting right there. And I'm like, that's her. And I would,
right there.
And I would stare at her, just waiting for her to sneeze because I wanted to hit her. That's the place that I was in. Somebody was going to pay for my pain. And just being in church and seeing them together, and I'm thinking, well, should I leave and go somewhere else? But then I thought, this is my church. I'm not going to leave. This is my church. And so the Lord, yeah, I don't even know if I'm getting ahead of myself, but the Lord taught me a lot. He taught me a lot about myself. He taught me about how much I did not trust him with my life and with the situation. I was going to do things my way, and somebody was going to pay. Somebody was going to pay. But the Lord taught me that his grace is sufficient.
Yeah.
His power is made perfect, was made perfect in my weakness. And it took a while. It took about 10 years for me to get to the place that he wanted me when it came to my ex and his wife at the time.
And Andrea, you took some amazing, courageous steps. You went into counseling.
Yes.
You joined every group that you could. I watched you in the journey and saw the courageousness. Not that you never cried, not that you never had depressed days, but with him sitting in the right behind you, which basically means all eyes on Andrea, watching her humiliation. What was the thing that was ringing in your mind to enable you to press and barrel forward for your healing? Like you fought. I watched you fight for your healing. What was it in your mind that kind of pushed you to do that? What did you say to yourself to enable that?
that I'm worth the effort.
Ooh. Okay, nope. We're not gonna go past that. I need everybody to type, I am worth the effort. Oh my gosh. So let me tell you how powerful that is. In a season where it felt like everybody and everything had abandoned you, when it felt like nothing in your life is going the way you hoped, expected, planned, where it looks like the ex is living his best life. Because we know that's what happens, right? They roll out, they get this new woman. The church doesn't know anything about their past, and they're just embracing and accepting them. And now they're going to the couples ministry, and you're not. And people know them and they're loving on them. And in the middle of that, there is something in you. Let me tell you how powerful that's saying, I am worth the effort. Do you know how powerful that is? I need everybody to type, I am worth the effort. I am worth the effort. And so thank you for that, Andrea, because that is so antithetical to the circumstance and the situation. Because by right, first of all, you should have caught a case on that. That's number one. You should have caught a case. She should have caught them hands. She should have caught them hands. Okay. Number three, you should have left the church. Like what you should have done, what you could have done was leave the church, leave God, forget anything else. But you barreled through, literally. And, so what were some of your other steps that you took to really get the healing?
Me and God have this relationship where I think sometimes he asks a little extra with me.
Extra.
A little extra.
Extra.
The Lord will ask me to do certain things to work through a season that I'm thinking, does it really take all that? So I got to the point where I really wanted to forgive them. It just had, unforgiveness had a grip.
Now, how long did that take? How long? You got to the church, they followed you. From that time on, how long? Because he actually married her.
He married her. After we got divorced, he married her about 4 months later.
Yes. So how long did it take for you to get to that, from that point where they got married, he left, they married, they're flaunting it in your face. How long did it take for you to get to the point where you actually had a desire to want to go through forgiveness?
Probably about 5 years.
Okay. Hear that, ladies? It's a process. It is a process. And in those 5 years, Andrea, you wasn't just sitting around, right?
No, I had a desire. So what the Lord asked me to do certain things. And even though he asked me to do those certain things and I had not fully forgiven, I was still trying to be obedient. So, right. So the Lord, when I worked through forgiveness, he asked me to bless my offenders. So what I did was a young lady would sell certain products in the church because they would have like vendor tables. And the Lord would say, I need you to go buy her product. And I'm not saying that when he told me it the first time, I was like, the devil is a lie.
I know that.
No, see, that's...
Wait. So she was selling product in the church, and she would have her own vendor table. And the Lord would tell you to go over there and buy her product.
Go bless her. Go bless her. Now, the first time he told me, the second time he told me, I didn't do it. Okay. I'm so he knew it. I walked right past that table. I was like, I'm going to be honest about it. And then I started, buying her product. And it was so hard because when I would go over to her table, there was such a phoniness, like, hello, just hello. And then she would talk about me with her friends. And when I walked away, I was like, Lord, why you put me through that? Why? Me and the Lord having a conversation here. Maybe I'm fussing and the Lord listening. He's like, I'm not going to let my daughter go ahead and have her moment. But I was like, why do I have to do that? And obviously the Lord knew for me, blessing her was the process of forgiving her.
Wow.
And I've noticed that in my life with people that I've had to forgive, that he puts me in a position to serve them.
Wow.
And, it is very difficult. And I'm thinking like, am I like that? Does it really take all of that, Lord? Like I could have thought about other avenues that I probably could have gone in to forgive, but he knew what it would take for me. He needed me to be humble and really to step back and let him do the work. And eventually it took about, I didn't forgive her fully until after I left. I'm fast forwarding it. My current bishop did a series on Radical Prayer 360. And he said, pray for 3 people, and one of them you will not want to pray for. And it was her.
Wow.
And I prayed for her and I prayed for her. So here the Lord again, being an extra, he said, I need you to have lunch with her. And what is so interesting is that, because I was like, but my bishop, 3 Sundays after that, he said, the Lord has told some of you to have lunch with your offender. And if you heard that sermon, you would hear somebody in the audience say, oh, that was me. That was me. And it took me about 6 months before I did that. And one of the things God taught me is that she did what she did out of her broken place. Just like you do what you do out of your broken place.
Wow, that is so good.
You have hurt people.
So good.
You've made choices. And granted, you were the one that she just so happened to have an affair with your husband, ex-husband with. But what about what you have done in the past with people that you have hurt? And the same forgiveness that I want extended to me is the same forgiveness he wanted me to extend to her.
Wow.
And I had lunch with her. And I told her, I release you.
Wow.
I said, I forgive you. I really do. And I said, you are my sister. And she is my sister because and the Lord had revealed to me, and I have no proof, but he said, there are some hurtful things that happened to her as a child. And she has not been healed. And so she's making choices and decisions out of that place of pain. And I want her to be healed. I want her to be whole. I want her to know the God that I know that forgives and that can heal you of abandonment, of abuse, of sexual molestation. He can heal you of all those things. You don't have to carry those things around into your adulthood and let those things dictate your choices as an adult.
Wow.
And I really want that for her. And I sat with her and we talked, and she is in a prison of her own, in her own mind, that she doesn't think she deserves God's goodness because of what she did to me and my family. And to walk around with unforgiveness for yourself, holding forgiveness from yourself is very, very difficult journey. And I want her to be whole.
One of the things you're bringing up is that recompense comes from God. And, you talked about it felt like punishment, what God was taking you through, but he was really putting you in position. I need everybody to type that. It's not punishment, it's position. That God knew that there was a greater level of your existence, which is now this journey and this mission to teach women forgiveness and wholeness, that you would have never, your ability to connect with women now. In fact, you weren't even a counselor back then. You literally changed your whole life. Like you went in a completely different, like God changed everything. Like you went to become a counselor, you got your master's degree. And now out of the brokenness of that, you are reaching more people. You are helping to heal more people through your pain than you did when you thought you were whole.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely right.
Fast forward. Hold on, because listen, this probably needs to be a part two. But okay, so we got to get to the dating part because you started dating. Now we got to go fast on this because I definitely want to get to Danielle. You started dating, and at one point you were engaged to get married, and it didn't work out. Tell us the mistakes you made dating after divorce and why that first one did not work out.
The mistake that I made was being more concerned with having that void filled instead of having that void healed.
That's good. That's good. I love that. Say that one more time.
I was more concerned with having that void filled instead of having that void healed.
All right, ladies, come on, type this. The void needs to be healed before it's filled. Oh, that's good. The void has to be healed. Listen, hands up on that one. The void has to be healed. Everybody type that. The void. When you're coming out of a broken relationship, marriage, you're divorced, or you were engaged, the natural inclination is to do what? Fill it. Find somebody else. And the void has to be healed first.
Yeah.
And so how long did you date him? How long after the divorce did you start dating again? And did you think it was too soon?
Well, I was dating him while I was still married. I was going through a divorce.
Okay.
And
Say it again. I said, say that again, just because you up.
I was dating him while I was going through a divorce.
Sure.
And, I was just more, it was like a year. I was out of my marriage for a year, and I met him, one of my cousins introduced me, and he said all the right things. He did all the right things. But one thing, it was very interesting, and this is what I try to share with women that I had to learn this, that, in 1 month while I started to see him, I'm a big journal writer, and I wrote in my journal, there's something about him that's not right.
Oh.
But I needed proof. My women's intuition and God telling me was not enough. I wanted to know what that thing was that wasn't quite right. But since I didn't have proof, I was like, well, he good with this and he good with that, and and people like him, and he's so smart, and but I knew something wasn't quite right 1 month in.
1 month in.
And one of the things about it is that, and I ended up getting engaged to him, and we were engaged for 4 years.
Wow.
For 4 years. Because there were some things I was waiting for him to change that he wasn't changing. And the lesson I had to learn was that when people show you who they are,
leave them there. When they show you where they belong, they show you who you are.
But I was in love with the idea.
Oh, that's good. The fairy tale again. There it is. There it is. And so the second time around, what did you do differently? Because you're married to a wonderful man right now. We all love Big Calvin. Calvin is the man. He is the GOAT. What did you do the second time around that brought you to a season of success?
I wasn't hungry for marriage.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good.
I was comfortable, finally comfortable with me. I would take me out to dinner. I would go to the movies, and I remember being in my home. All the kids were all grown. They were gone, and they would call me. You want company? No. I'm like, you know what? I'm fine. I loved being with myself, and I wasn't desperate to be with anybody. I wasn't trying to, how come he don't want to marry me? And that's how it was with, because after I broke it off with the guy I was engaged to, I dated somebody else afterwards. And I found myself repeating that same habit, not looking at what they're showing me. They're showing you that you aren't worth their effort, even though you're worth your effort, but your decisions don't even line up with what you believe you need for your life because of choices that you're making.
Wow.
And so I wasn't desperate to get married. And the thing about it with, one of the things that and one of my former bishops said this, consistency breeds security.
That's right.
And one of the things about the other relationships, and even my ex and even my father. So I've learned that men are inconsistent. They're not true to their word. It's okay if they disappoint you because I'll forgive them. And I figured that was like a pattern throughout my life. And so one thing about Cal, he has always been consistent. I call him my easy, like Sunday morning man. He is just smooth. People love him because what he does is he's always done. His friends are longstanding friends. He checks on his friends' parents. He has a genuine love for people and caring for people. And one of the things, he cares about me. I am his priority. He's not trying to figure out what he can get from me. He's more worried about what he can give to me. And he's totally different from everyone else I have dated.
That's good.
And it's about me. It's about me. And he's helping me grow. I'm always in my head. I didn't want to come into a relationship making him pay for what the other ones did. So I didn't want to be suspicious of him. I didn't want to be snooping to find evidence. Oh, he 10 minutes late. He must be. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to him because he doesn't deserve it. He has not ever done anything to me.
Wow.
So why would I want to lay all that on him that those other jokers did? Why would I want to do that?
That talks about the self-sabotage, where we'll get out of a one bad relationship or several bad relationships. And this is what we do, girls. We create silent vows. Mm-hmm. My next relationship, I'm never, or my relationship is going to be. And some of those silent vows are good, but you need to go back and debrief them because some of those vows create a debt. I'm never going to let another man have my money. I'm never going to let another man, be in my bank account. The next time I get married, I'm going to make sure that, and it creates self-sabotage. It literally closes the door to what you want because what you're saying is my past now has permission to dictate what my relationships need to be in my future versus the healed me knows how to choose differently. So I don't have to make those promises and vows because the man that's coming into my life, I'm not going to have to worry about saying, oh, I'm never going to let it know. No, I'm going to be healed to the place where I don't even attract those men. They can't even, take one with me and like, nah, I ain't going to be able to fool with that one. So ladies, I want you to cancel the vow. Everybody type that. I need to cancel the vow because when you come into marriage with this ain't going to happen and this ain't never going to happen and I want to do this and my last relationship, I'm going to be making sure I'm going to have a tracker. I'm going to have a tracker on his phone. He'll have a tracker on his car. I'm going to know it from the beginning to the end because I told him I can't be bothered with. That's not the healed you talking. That's the broken you. And the broken you only knows how to give birth to broken pieces. Oh, I'm going to say that again. The broken you will only produce broken pieces in your marriage. The healed you attracts healed people. And the one thing that, we don't have a whole bunch of time, but I watched Andrea. I got the privilege of being around her during a huge portion of this. I watched her fight for her healing. Fight. support. So by the time she got ready to be remarried, I had watched her. I can attest to the years that she spent reading and studying and blah, blah, blah. And that doesn't mean it's going to be 25, 30 years for you. You may say, well, I want to be remarried. God moves at the speed of your acceptance. Mm-hmm. He moves at the speed of which we move. He's not going to heal you faster than what you're willing to embrace. He just won't do it. He won't. He'll say, I have patience. God's like, I got all day. I got 1,000 years. I got plenty of time. You do not want God to say, oh, we can wait. No, Jesus. You don't have a concept of time like we do. So thank you, Andrea. That is just powerful, powerful. All right, Danielle, we're jumping right to you. You are a millennial baby, and you've been married for how long?
Been married, it'll be 13 years.
13 years.
14, 13.
So you're talking about the fairy tale versus the married life. And I tend to feel like as a millennials, with all of the social media, and this is our Generation Z too, all the social media that's going on, it creates a bigger fairy tale and a bigger perception than it is, right? Like, would you agree with that? And
absolutely.
So tell us, what's the difference between the reality and the fairy tale that you have discovered?
First of all, hi guys. I want to say hello. I've been in here just bouncing and itching because it's just so good.
Yeah.
Such a good conversation. I'm stirred up, riled up. So let's go. One of the things that I noticed, and I tell my sisters, my single friends, I am the girlfriend, the sister that says, nope, and debunk it. I'ma just dig it up, trash it. Whatever you thought in your head about marriage, it's a lie.
Oh,
it's a lie.
Again, whatever you thought about marriage is a lie.
Take it out. Just exit stage left. Okay.
You want to tell that, Danielle. That's gonna make them say all of that. Tell it.
I say all of it. I have conversations with people that will make you be like, do I want to get married? Yes, you need to ask that question. Ask that question. Do I want to get married? Do I want to be a wife? Am I ready for that? Am I selfless enough to be a wife?
That's good.
Because guess what? Good. You come into it thinking, oh my God, it's going to be so great. I'm just my wedding dress. And, you know, our kids, they're going to like this. And it's going to be Joey. And it's going to be Patricia. And it's going to be all of that. Right. And so a lot of the ladies, I talk to, it's like, yeah, I'm going back to school. I'm doing this. And I ask them, the ones that's yearning to be married. Now you're planning to go back to school. Praise God. Amen. What if you had a spouse who said, you know what? Not yet. They're like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But school is great. Yeah. But
not right now.
Right. You have to confer with your spouse. And what if they're like, you know what? We're not ready yet. Or what if it's like, no, not at all. I don't even support it a little bit. Right. So these are the things we have to, when I talk with anybody I encounter and I say, listen, we have to demystify what do you think marriage is? And we have to have the hard conversations, right? About what that looks like. And let me give you some real time, real life questions and conversations that you might need to have. Yes. You may have the most supportive, amazing, husband in the whole wide world, but he is still a man. He may be Holy Ghost filled, fire baptized, all that good stuff, but he's still a man, and you're going to run into real human experiences. And I think a lot of times that goes, we don't think about that. We don't think about that. We're just thinking about it's going to be great. I have a warm body next to me. Come on. I'm fiery down there. Come on, especially I'm talking to our millennials. I'm fiery down there, and I'm not supposed to burn with fire. That fire got to be put out. So I need to get married.
Yes, yes. Okay, so Danielle, tell us, for you, as a millennial being married for 13 years, what was some difficult transition points for you being young that you had to embrace?
Mm-hmm. One of the first one, it's been many, so let's start there. You're journeying in life with somebody, so there's going to be several transitional, periods. But off the bat, early on, I met my husband when I was 19. We got married. I was 23 when we got married. So it was some transition, and I wasn't a woman yet. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I wasn't a woman yet. I wasn't fully in my womanhood when we met or when we married. And one of the transitions, I had to find my voice, find who I was as a woman. And so I got married. I was a new mom. And I remember going through a period where it was like, you'll know me because I'll pick up and go. Right? I all of a sudden found this voice where before I was compromising a lot, right? I was like, trying to go along to get along. And I really wasn't speaking up. I really wasn't, putting my foot down in regards to things that were just not healthy or dysfunctional or just, wasn't me, right? But I didn't know me. I didn't have a foot to put down yet. and so then we had to go through this phase of, I'm growing, I'm maturing, and who I was at night, and even still, right? Who I was at 19 is not who I am now. What I want at 19 is not what I want now.
Right.
And so I remember going through a phase for a minute where it was just like I was throwing around divorce word. I was like, listen, because I'm a woman. I'm a woman and I ain't got to. And I was literally going through adolescent type behavior.
Yeah.
Because it was like, no, I'm an adult. I'm a woman and you can't stifle me. Whatever you're doing to shut down my womanhood, I'm going to let you know, absolutely not.
Right. And you didn't know who you were. You didn't even know.
God,
That's good. So how did you make this? So learning what your voice is, how did you start to make the transition?
Learning what my voice is, still, I will probably say over, because around that time I was maybe like 25, 26. So, and I'm 36 now. And really, so talk about hard seasons. We came out of a season where it was rough, right? And one of the things I learned out of that is the humility was my voice.
Oh, that's good. Wait, nope.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
You're not going to power through that one. Everybody type this. Humility is my voice. Yeah. That is so good. So break that down. What does that mean? That's powerful.
Yeah, I mean, I had to learn because, I mean, if you can't tell, I'm a little spicy.
Just a little.
So, when I wanted, as much as I could be, spicy and stuff, I didn't know how to set healthy boundaries. I didn't know when my give and take, when to ease up and when to come in, right? And with the Iron Woman, hear me roar. So I had to be strategic and discerning of how to navigate the give and take, right?
That's good.
And as the ladies had said here, regarding the working on me, even though he could seemingly on the outside looking in be the offender, right? Be the one who's doing more of the offense. God was doing something in those valley seasons in my character. And it's just like, I'm like, God, I don't even be, down with pride like that. which is kind of powerful in and of itself. I'm not even prideful like that.
Like that is prideful.
Right. And so I really had to humble myself even more, because what I learned was, in the season that I was in, it wasn't because my pride was out of control in the moment. It's what God was setting me up to do in my next.
Good. That's good.
Your pride is fine now, but where I'm taking you and who I'm preparing you to be, right? I need it to be managed now, so you can remember, so you can have that track record, right?
Yeah.
So you can have a frame of reference.
Yeah.
And of course, God listen, I always say, if you want to be holy, if you want to be in the better perfected state of yourself, get married.
Get married.
It's always testing you.
Always.
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 If you want to be a super saint,
Yes. And
that is a testing field.
It is.
Oh, were you going to say something?
Yeah, no, I wanted you to finish that, because that is so good.
Yeah, it's the testing field. I mean, it is because it's the person that's closest to you, right? That knows the buttons, that sees you at your highest point and your lowest points. So I had to do the work in me and see, God, what do you want me to learn? What are you doing in me? And it's not for your now, Danielle. It's for your next. It's for
good.
when you come into what I'm preparing for you, you can have that humility and have that frame of reference.
That is so good. And I love it, because you're right. Marriage refines us. It's a refiner's fire.
Absolutely.
It purifies the dross. The problem is the dross has to show up.
Yes.
And so if you're married and you're listening, one of the things that, and that's right, Facebook user, marriage is the perpetual mirror. That is absolutely so true. Marriage shows you. And if you don't like what you see, we attack our spouse. We blame them for making us be this person. Well, the truth is, you were always that way. Marriage just brought it out. And the design is for it to force you into God's presence and to say, Lord, I got a mouth on me, Jesus. I mean, I always knew, I thought I did, but or I struggle with this, or I struggle with forgiveness, or I struggle with vulnerability, or I struggle with give and take and all those things. What do you think, Danielle, millennials are looking for in relationships? What do you think?
One of the things, a major thing I feel like millennials are looking for is really partnership, right? We are looking the traditional. I don't like traditional. I buck. Okay, me personally, and I feel like many millennials do, because my thought process is, who dictated that, right? Is it biblical? Is it cultural? Some of these traditional things that we have acclimated, right? And I think we have to debunk it and say, hey, I want a partnership. Okay, if somebody's a better cook, it doesn't matter the genitalia. You're just a better cook.
Mm.
Right? If somebody's better at doing certain things and tasks, now don't get it twisted. I believe in being a woman. I believe in who God called and ordained us to be, the man, his position and role, absolutely. But I think some of the things that we call godly are really cultural. It's cultural.
That's right.
Nothing to do with what God intended.
Right, because your husband could cook every single day, and that doesn't mean anything, right? Or you could, as a woman, be the breadwinner, and your husband stay home with the kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel so, again, like the example I gave earlier in regards to, a woman going back to school and doing these different things. I feel like we want a partnership, right? We want somebody where, hey, yes, I can be a woman and I can go out my business, ministry, whatever God is calling me to do. And I have a supportive partner who's doing it with me.
Yeah.
Even if he's kind of more so in the background, who's supporting what I'm doing. And that doesn't mean that I'm not available or present, right? But it means that I want somebody who can be understanding and is not bound and held down by what the culture says or what tradition says, right?
That's good.
So
That's good. I love it. Listen, we're going to open up. Let's open up with questions for the ladies on this panel. And while we're waiting for questions to come, I've got a question for everybody. And I'm going to go back to you, Danielle, because you talked last, and I really love the way this conversation is going. But if you have questions, I want you to ask. You have married questions, single questions, doesn't matter. I want you to ask that question, put it in the chat, and we're going to try to answer some of these questions. In the meantime, Danielle, what do you think? What keeps you when the butterflies are not fluttering as much? What
listen,
keeps you? And I want everybody to answer this, but I want to start with Danielle because I think the fairy tale is that we get all these butterflies, and we do, and that's going to be the norm. Just
no,
everybody just shake their head.
no,
I'm not saying the butterflies go away, right? Because we still get excited when he walks in the door. We're happy to see him. But that early feeling of euphoria when they call, it's like, what keeps what keeps you, Danielle,
mhm.
when you're in those seasons, you got into that season and you're like, okay, the euphoria is gone, but I still
Right.
love this man. So what keeps you?
Right. I think it's first understanding, like the key word you said was it's a season, right? You have those moments in a relationship. And I think that we have this issue not just with our spouses, but spiritually as well, right? Where it's I don't feel it. Okay. Love is a command. Right?
Yeah,
It is it's a law that we have to keep.
good.
It's a command. It's not
It's an action word too, like we have to do it.
work. Absolutely. So when we're feeling like it or not, I still have to love. I still have to show patience. I still have to show kindness, endurance, long suffering, all that good stuff, even when being challenged during tough seasons. And
Yeah.
I think that butterflies, it's fleeting. It's like a perfume. It comes, it goes. But what can sustain me during times where it's unstable, where it's ambiguity, where, I'm having a woman season? Like, who am I today? I don't know. If I have a 3-month old, you're in different stages of your relationship or in your womanhood. So I feel like, it's very fleeting. Is and it's very elementary to feel as though love comes with butterflies and stay there. It's very much understanding and having the expectation that it goes up, it goes down, but I still love you
Yeah.
regardless. And
So,
what that love really looks like played out.
so I've got another question that's connected to this. And Sharon or Andrea or even Danielle, you guys can answer this. When you get married, you know, you do think we're gonna have sex all the time. Like it's just, and especially for those that are celibate right now, you're practicing celibacy and you're like, as you said, it's fire. I got fire. It needs to be put out. What happens when you get to that stage? And talk about the stage where it's like, y'all know what I'm talking about. Talk about that. And how do you power through that season where, it's dry, it's like, don't touch me, go away over there. Right. First of all, is that normal? Because I want to help those that may be newly married. And how do you get past that? Start with you, Sharon. You've been married the longest.
Gosh. Yes, ma'am. um, Listen, yes, you go through that stage, but you need to also understand that the stages come for many reasons, and not made to feel like there is something wrong with you, because it's very normal. I can almost promise you, if you've had children, the stage is going to follow right after them children.
Right
You know,
after.
your whole body and hormonal system has changed considerably. So all those thoughts and visions that you had prior to marriage and thinking of what it's going to be and what y'all did like rabbits up until that child came is almost gone season. Then,
Yeah.
you know, after the kids, and you hit around 40 something, and that thing starts to come back to you a little bit more, and you know, some things shift back into gear, and now you may find that he's not the more active one. So there's definitely, I love how Danielle put it, and there's absolute seasons with our sexual life. And we need to be informed about our bodies. Please learn your body and what you have to do to take care of it. And then when you get into even being older, you know, menopause is real, ladies.
Menopause is
Menopause is very real. I remember laughing at the women. See, that's what's wrong. That's what you get for laughing at the older ladies before. Because I remember laughing when they would talk about how hot they were and all of this other stuff. I'm like, these people are so, you know, extra. Why are you exaggerating so much? No, you feel like putting your whole self in the freezer because it feels like somebody done put a match to your body. You know, and then there's other medical issues that may come along.
That's right.
Serious medical issues. And if you do not have, going back to earlier conversation, if you don't have a solid foundation of communication and honesty and transparency with your spouse, to be able to explain all that you can explain, because look, you don't even know what's going on with you sometimes. And especially when it's a medical situation. I've been there. And it's so frustrating because we think that our womanhood is attached to our breast and our vagina. And when things start going amiss in those areas, it can make us feel so less than.
Yeah.
And you could have a wonderful husband. It's like, no, baby, I love you. You're sexy. If you ain't feeling the sexy, ain't nothing sexy. So, you know, you are going to go through those changes, but I will encourage everyone as much as possible. Keep it live and keep it fresh as much as you can, because I do. 40 years, you better find some new ways and new tricks.
New ways.
You do.
New toys.
That's it. Do what you do, honey. Go to Victoria and keep all her secrets right in your closet.
Go to Adam and Eve.
Hey, anywhere you got to go. Listen, that's why we got online shopping. Everybody ain't got to know your business no more. Okay?
Well, you can go to the real store. Okay, so listen, we have a question. Put a hat on. You walking in.
Hey.
Okay, how do we single women learn how to become wives before we become wives? Girl, you should have came to my dating boot camp last week. It was called Learning How to Get in the Position of a Wife. Oh my goodness. So I'm actually going to do a dating boot camp 2. Part 2. It was so great. They all voted for part 2, even though it was good. I think I'll answer this question real quick. I think the thing about it is you have to get in alignment with understanding what a wife is and the position that a wife can be in. Go right back to the Bible and where you need to begin to step up, right? So do you talk like a wife? What does a wife talk like? Well, what do husbands need? Well, I don't know. Well, that's where you need to start working on. Do you look like a wife? Well, what do wives look like? Well, there's a certain brand. Do you look approachable? Do you have a presence about you that tells another man You can come talk to me, right? Have you healed to where you are attracting what you want to, you're presenting what you want to attract. If you're broken, you attract broken people. If you're a rescuer, you're going to attract a man who needs to be rescued, right? And everybody knows, I say this all the time, you don't need another project to fix. Really being able to understand, as Danielle said, who are you? Who are you? What do you really want in a man and why? So if you don't remember anything else that I said, it's looking at, right, who you are, where do I stand? Who are you right now? Who are you? Do you know yourself? And looking at that, start writing down all the things that you want in a relationship. And then ask yourself, now, why do I want these things? And really take a hard, honest look, because some of those things may be a debt that you want somebody else to pay. Well, I want a man that's hardworking. And well, what is that? And I always challenge the women when they start telling me about, I want a man that's hardworking. What does that look like? Break that down. I want somebody that's consistent in what? I want somebody that, so look at all of those factors and then ask yourself, do I have the capacity? Remember, capacity matters. Do I have the capacity to allow my entire life and who I am to shift? Because that is exactly what's going to happen when you get married. When you get ready to get married, adjustments are going to be made. And do I have the emotional fortitude, the emotional capacity? Wonderful. Marriage is wonderful. Yes, you have someone, but marriage is work because you are spending the rest of your lives in a merger. Just think of a company trying to merge and it taking them, what we say in the vow, forever. You will forever be merging all of who you are with all of who he is. And it means adjustments have to be made. But the next time I have my dating boot camp, sign up, because that's all that we talk about, how to position ourselves as a wife. Next question. How does one have a reciprocal relationship with a spouse that refuses to give without becoming depleted? Oh, ladies, who wants to answer that? How do you have a reciprocal relationship with someone who refuses to give? And how do you do it without being depleted? I think that's what they're saying. Someone can answer, anybody?
You're going to be depleted. Go ahead, Andrew, please. Take it.
Reverend Nikki, I keep calling you Reverend Nikki. Reverend Nikki said a few weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, when you're married, pray for him. Pray for him. And, because when you pray for your spouse, the Lord sometimes gives you a different perspective about the thing that you're complaining about. So, and then also too, of course, counseling, maybe some marital counseling. One of the things that when Cal and I got married, we had premarital counseling. We talked about finances, like, how do we see money? How do we feel about spending money? Trying to, and that's something that, because our ideas about it from when we first got married has changed. So you always got to have that conversation. But when we are not on the same accord about how we need to spend our money, sometimes I need to try to see it from his perspective. I'm not always right, even though it may feel
that is not easy to do.
Excuse me?
I said that is not easy to do either.
No, it's not. It's not. But that's why you got to pray for them. And sometimes even when you're praying for them to change, I think Danielle said it, you're the one that has to change first. So ladies, I don't know if you want to add to it.
I was just going to say you will absolutely become depleted if you're going within your own strength. You can't keep giving in any form or fashion within your own strength and not get refilled and refueled some way. That way for us is God. So you have to start with God. You have to go to God. And going back to what I had said earlier, I think you also have to sow what you are seeking to receive.
Mm,
It's
that's
just,
good.
it's one of God's laws. And that is one of the most difficult things to do. So very thing that you want from, your spouse, you have to give that, and not give it the way you want to give it. Give it the way they need you to give it. Because I can ask him to take out the trash, or I can say, hey, you ain't take out the trash again. So watch ourselves,
Yeah,
We know we're wonderful, but sometimes we're not as wonderful as we really think we are.
that's good. Danielle, did you have something you want to say?
My thought is, the first thought is how did we get here? What is the origin of how now I'm becoming depleted? What was the expectation?
Yep.
What didn't I say?
Yes.
What voice didn't I voice? Right. And I feel like we have to start there to see how we got here.
That's
And
right.
a lot of times we have to breathe and sit in where we are now in order to move forward and hopefully start to create a new normal, which takes work. And are you ready to be uncomfortable to apply and do what you need to do to create a new normal? Because I feel a lot of times we're not. If we're people pleasers, I know Nikki talk about this a lot. If we're want to be, pleasing, right? It's hard for us to say no, right? And then when we have to create the new groundwork in saying no and creating healthy boundaries, right? Not out of I don't love you or anything like that, but it's just like, hey, I may need an hour a self-care time. I need to reposition some things so that I can be healthy for our marriage and for our family. If we're not willing to hear the disgruntled sounds, get the cut eyes in the in the rebuilding phase, if we're not comfortable in that, we're not willing to sacrifice, then it's like, well, where do we go? So I think that it starts where, how do we get here? How do we get to this point? What things did I say yes to that I should have said no to? What things did I compromise on? And then I could say, all right, we're going to strategically have a conversation. If you need help, a third party, as suggested, a therapist, do that. But how can we now start to, backtrack and rebuild?
And I want to piggyback on all of that. I hope you're still listening. We don't know what your name is because it comes up as Facebook user. I want you to write this down. What is it that he is not giving that you desire? And has he ever given it? That's a good question, right? Did it just start? Did he get to the point? Has it always been, this next question I want you to ask, write this down. Has it always been lopsided? And if your answer is no, go back, as Danielle says, and say, what changed? But if it said yes, if you say yes, it's always been this way. Okay, so now this is about you. Because what that means is that you have chosen someone that either does not have the capacity to give you what you want and what you were hoping for before you got married, or is choosing not to. It could be both, right? They may not be in a place or a space to give it. And that doesn't absolve him of giving what you desire. But it means I got to take a step back, because what I'm asking him for, I don't know that he has the ability to give. So then the next question becomes, is he willing? And if he's not willing, and some of those things on your list are absolute deal breakers, you've gone through the list, you've talked to yourself about why they're so important to you. And I mean, some of those things on your list, sis, and it could be a guy, some of the things on your list could be your personal preferences, things that you have to have because you just think it's right. I'm not talking about those things on your list. I'm talking about things that really speak to the deep need that you have, the desires that you really feel like speak to your love language. And then I want you to talk about what are some of those things that are deal breakers, meaning if he never changes, can I stay in this marriage without receiving this for the next 10 years? And if the answer is no, yes, it's definitely time to start going to get counseling. If he won't go, you go. Because what you're going to discover is things about yourself. Okay, we got to get ready to go. One last question. How do you know the person you're with is the one for you or just trying to control you, especially knowing we have a child together? Currently, we are just co-parenting, but still living in the same house because of financial, but also my current health reasons. How do you know if the person you're with is the one for you or they're just trying to control you? They're living together, they're co-parenting. What do you say, ladies?
She has to, she said he's trying to control her.
Well, she's saying, how do you know this person is the one for you? How do you know if the person you're with is the one for you or they are just trying to control you? And we don't have all the information, but it sounds like maybe there's a push to get married and they're not. One person may not, because if you're living together and you're not married yet, the question is why? Right? Why not? Just go to the justice of the peace and get married. You don't need a whole bunch of money for that, right? You're already living together. So why are we not married? And if there's a question mark about, it sounds like there's a question mark about whether this person is the one or not. So what do you ladies think?
Where are you gonna go? I was just gonna say, those questions, if that has to be a question, right, then we have to evaluate, what's going on here, right? So and like Nikki was saying, if it's a matter of getting married or something like that, why it's not happening, the only thing you can control is yourself, right? And again, it goes back to deal breakers, what you allow, what we're saying and not saying, what the expectations are. Are we saying those expectations? And at the end of the day, it goes back to, what am I allowing? What am I saying or what am I not saying? If there's a question of, one for you and controlling, then it's like, God, I have to be discerning about this. I have to be discerning about what am I really seeing? Right. So I think it's about really, taking a step back and really assessing what's going on in the relationship, and really if it's where you need to go and what you need to do.
Yeah. So. Because if you're questioning whether someone's trying to control you, many times the answer is yes. Control is a very obvious fruit. You don't feel comfortable when someone's trying to control you. You feel like you're trying to be controlled. And I would also say that it sounds like, and I don't know, we're maybe reading a lot into it. Don't allow the fact that we have a child together keep you in something that is not destiny oriented. And again, that goes back to you. Why am I in this situation with a man that I'm not sure is the one for me? How did I get here to where we're living like we're married, but we're not? Because that right there keeps you, if you've got a question mark, right, and you're living together because of financial or health reasons, what are some other steps that we can begin to take to separate ourselves on some level where I can think clearly? Because it's going to be very hard for you to think and understand whether this person's one for you if they're sitting right in front of you, right? If you're living there, it's hard to really begin to think about, is this person really? You need that time. And I don't know your personal situation. I don't know your financial situation. So, but what I can tell you is, if you move in with someone, which I don't personally believe in, but I'm not here to preach that. If you move in with someone and there's a question mark, the reality is I shouldn't be moving in with you or living with you, because it entangles us in a situation where now I feel obligated to stay, whether it's because of a child or whether it's because of our finances. And now it's hard to get out. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. The moment you make that decision, I don't believe this is where God wants me to be right now. I'm not comfortable. I'm not happy. I'm not excited about this arrangement. The way things are right now, I don't want to go for the next 20 years looking at this. And I can't date and live in this situation based on the potential, the possibility of things possibly one day changing. There's got to be fruit right now to show me this is where I'm supposed to be. This is God. And I know for a fact. And God gives us confirmation. I know he does before we move in with people. I'm just sorry. That is my stance. And if you got to try it out and see, just go ahead and get married, right? I don't condone that either, because you might get connected to somebody that, you don't. But before you move in with anybody, ask the Lord, is this where I'm supposed to be? Because this may take me down a road where it's difficult to untangle myself. But if you are in that situation and you're already feeling inside, I'm not feeling great about this. I'm not certain this person is the one. And we're living together. That's everything right there, because nothing changes when you get married. It's just a piece of paper. I need everybody, right? Like, everybody needs to know that if you're living with someone and you're wondering if they're the one, you kind of already have the answer, because this is what it's going to be like. What you have right now is what's going to happen 2 days from now. You get married tomorrow.
They need to pay attention to whatever they're showing them right now.
Yes.
Because if you don't like what you see right now, it's not going to get any better because you say I do.
At all.
And then also too, a lot of times we don't value what we're actually feeling about the relationship. We want to second guess our intuition, our womanly wisdom.
Yeah.
And there's so many relationships I was in, and I felt like, is he the one? I didn't feel comfortable inside with this individual, but I was trying to find an answer to stay. It has to be an answer why I should stay, but I felt it. So I would just suggest, just do some deep soul searching and ask yourself, what is it that you're looking for, and what do you want? And you don't have to settle for less than you deserve, because once you do that, you get even less than what you settle for.
Yep. Listen, girls, this has been great. We have been on for 2 hours. We've got to go. So I want to say to you ladies, you ladies are trailblazers. You're phenomenal. I know each one of you, and I've watched some of your fruit, and I like bringing people on who walk the talk the walk. And ladies, how can these women, especially you, Sharon, and you, Andrea, if they want, and Danielle, I don't know if you're open to taking, Danielle is in the middle of moving to a brand new home. Congrats, Danielle. But I know you, Sharon, you're doing marital coaching and crisis intervention, even if you're referring them to someone else. And Andrea, I'm not certain if you're available, but how can people connect with you after this? I feel like there was a comment that was made that was saying, hey, I need to talk with somebody. How can they connect with you, Sharon?
Thank you, Nikki. Yes, they can connect with me through our most viable way really right now is through our Facebook page. So SOS Marriage Network, our Facebook page, and my personal page on Facebook, inbox me. And my website is going through challenges right now. So yeah, SOS Marriage Network on Facebook.
Awesome. SOS Marriage Network. Awesome. And Andrea, is there a way that people can connect with you?
Yes, on Facebook, Andrea Bing Jameson, and you can inbox me on Facebook, and that's the best way. Or you can email me, AndreaBingJameson@yahoo.com.
And Bing, spell that out for us. Oh, there it is.
Yes, Bing.
Awesome. That is so amazing. And listen, ladies, me and Danielle always hook up every year at, it's called the Eusebia Marriage Conference. It's going to be this year. Do you have any information updates for us, Danielle?
Yes. It is going to be this year on the third weekend in October. I believe that is the 16th.
Yep.
The 16th through the 18th. Let me make sure my dates are right.
Me and Danielle go every year. Me and my husband.
I wasn't right. 14th through the 17th.
The 17th, the Eusebia Conference. Danielle, when this is over, if you can type in the chat the website where people can go to register. Listen, there's a ton of resources out here that you can use to strengthen your marriage. And this isn't a marriage conference if your marriage is in trouble. It's called preventative care. But even if your marriage is in trouble, you can come. There's classes all weekend. It's time for you to power down, come. Our marriages need the work. So Danielle is going to post in our chat when this is over. I want to thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for being transparent, being vulnerable, and just being a part of Ignite Women at the Gathering Place and sharing your story. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. And so, listen, girls, we are closing it out. I just want to remind you of our next Monday. The men are back, and we're going to talk about some more marriage stuff. We're going to be talking about submission. We didn't get a chance to talk about that today with the ladies. I might bring one of the ladies back, maybe, just to throw something in there. But we're going to be talking about marriage things, dating things, relationship things. So there were some questions that you had. You didn't get a chance to get it answered. You definitely want to come back to that. Okay. And don't forget about our leadership conference symposium that is happening on May the 15th. We'll be posting that information in our gathering place. So again, I thank you ladies for joining us and just hanging out and sticking around with us for 2 full hours. I think this is important. And I will talk to you all soon. God bless you and have a great day. We'll see you soon.